Warm welcome to one and all who have joined us here today for this very special morning. We all know why we are gathered here today. It's the inauguration of the 16th edition of REI and the inaugural edition of the Battery Show India. It's a journey towards brighter, greener and more sustainable future for all of us. Please join me in welcoming all the dignitaries who have joined me here on the dais. We have Mr. Alex Whitworth, who is Vice President and Head of Asia Pacific Power and Renewables Research at Wood Mackenzie. We have Shri Kujit Popli, former Chairman and Managing Director IREDA and former Advisor ISA, Director Climate Finance. Shri N. Janaya, Vice Chairman and Managing Director TS Redco. We also have Mr. Krisiv, who is Senior Vice President Inform Markets Asia, and my colleague Rajneesh Khattar, who is Senior Group Director at Inform Markets in India. We also had His Excellency Mr. Vincenzo Luca, Ambassador of Italy to India. He was supposed to be a part of our inaugural panel. Unfortunately, he had to leave early. So thanks for him for joining us for this inauguration, for the lamplighting and other ceremonies. So coming to our show, I would say it's a very promising show. They say it's the largest renewable show we are putting in terms of being the 16th edition. We have put multiple editions before, but it's the largest. We have over 700 exhibitors, over 900 leading brands this year. Over 40,000 trade visitors are expected to come to the show. They will include esteemed policy makers, decision makers, influencers, and professionals from this industry. We have multi-track conferences happening on the show floor. We have for REI, for the battery, about total 4 tracks of conferences plus innovative showcase, which will include over 350 speakers all around talking some expert views on the industry and what's the trending ahead and on the innovations in this industry. The co-location that we have done for the first time is a comprehensive exploration of synergies between the Indian renewable energy sector, energy storage sector and the electric vehicle industry. We all know our Indian renewable energy sector is the 4th largest in terms of largest market in the world. We have already achieved our target of 172 gigawatts, and which is about 75% of the peak demand, which has been touched at about 234 gigawatts. But our target is humongous. We still have to reach about 500 gigawatts by 2030. But there are a lot of such things happening, the investments on the ground happening, which definitely gives us a positive sentiment that we'll achieve that in 2030. Government has been taking a lot of initiatives, and just to name a few of them, includes establishment of various solar parks, ultra mega solar power projects. Then we also have this PLI scheme of 19,500 crores, which is also benefiting the industry. Having said that, we also see this industry grow at a CAGR of 10%, and that's a pretty good for a mature industry. Coming to the battery, I think we believe it's a natural extension of a nation's endeavor. There are a lot of lucrative opportunities in this BESS market, which is the battery energy storage systems market. And this segment is itself going at a remarkable CAGR of 25% per annum. That shows the humongous growth this sector is seeing. Of course, there are challenges in this sector also, as any fast-growing sector would have. One of the most prominent being recycling of batteries, which is of paramount importance. As we all know, 90% of the spent batteries are disposed inappropriately, and so there's so many sessions which are being talked about in this in the battery show that we have, which will also talk about how we address this concern. Coming back to our show again. We have this year delegations coming from Germany, Italy, Malaysia and USA. We have pavilions from Germany, Italy and also Indian Biogas Association. We have a special evening of Indian Biogas Association. They are expecting an investments of the tune of 1,500 crores happening within this next 3 days itself for the biogas segment. Some of the key highlights of the show include, of course, the first being the co-location of the battery show, which we believe is the future of India. A strong industry support that we have received. We also have the CEO roundtable, which is going to take place today afternoon, and the CTO conclaves, which are going to take place tomorrow for both the shows, REI and battery. We are going to prepare a white paper out of this and share it with various stakeholders. We have the ARIA Awards tomorrow, which will also accolade the who's who of this industry who have done some remarkable job in this segment, in this sector over this past 1 year. Plus the 3-day conference, which is going to take place in multiple tracks, 3 tracks over here and 1 track in the battery segment, 25 plus remarkable sessions from experts of this industry who are going to speak. We, as usual, have received fantastic support from various associations, without which I think the show would have been incomplete, both domestic and international associations, and also the government support that we have received for this show. So finally, we envisage REI and the Battery Show India as catalysts for innovation and collaboration. where ideas come to life, visions transform into actions, and where future of clean energy is written. Thank you for being a part of this journey and making it all possible. Thank you so much and enjoy this 3 days ahead. Thank you.
So it's great to be here today. I'm very excited to be here at the Renewable Energy India Conference and Expo. I'm here to bring a perspective from the industry, from Wood Mackenzie, and talk a little bit about the global energy transition, some of the global trends that we see in power and renewables and how that might impact India. So there's a lot of pie charts on the slide here if you take a look, but this is summarizing the power and renewables trends that we have seen over the last 20 years and what we expect to see over the next 20. So the first thing that's happened in power and renewables industry is that the whole market globally has doubled over the last 20 years. And it's expected to double again over the next 20 years, and this is a very different trend to what we see in fossil fuels and other energy markets, is that we see a future of continued growth. The second, on the technology side, if you look at the top pie charts, over the last 20 years, there has not been a significant change. You can see that today, wind power accounts for 9% of power supply, solar 4%. So that 14% or 14% in total of renewable wind and solar energy is a huge increase, but it is nothing compared to what we see in the future. And if you look to the right-hand chart, in the future we expect wind and solar to account for half of the global power supply by 2050. So the market's doubling, the share of wind and solar is tripling or more. This represents a huge opportunity for wind and solar developers and for technology. Now, the trend that we have seen in the last 20 years is actually the whole center of the demand of global power has been moving to Asia. And there's been a huge change as China, India, Southeast Asia, and other markets have really taken off. So from being less than a quarter of the global power demand in the year 2000, today Asia Pacific is over half, and China has overtaken the US and all of the other major markets in the world to become the top power market. And India has overtaken Germany, overtaken Japan, and is now ranked number 3 as the largest power demand market in the world. So this is a huge trend, the major change we've seen in the power industry in the last 20 years, and we expect that to go forward. Asia Pacific markets will be growing to 60% or more of global power demand in the future. So this is where the future lies. Now there are still many challenges to go. So on this chart we see India's power supply and the high share that's coming from fossil fuels. Around 75% is coming from fossil fuels today, mostly from coal. And in the yellow line on the bottom, you can see the share coming from renewables, which is around 12%. 22% from renewables, including hydro and others, 12% coming from wind and solar. So I would like to focus on the massive growth opportunities here for wind and solar. The major changes we've seen in technology, improvements in wind and solar, and falling costs have meant that the wind and solar share has been growing. But what we've seen in the last 10 years is really nothing compared to what we will see in the future. And over the next 10, 15, and 20 years, gradually wind and solar power will catch up and overtake fossil fuels in India and in most other markets in the world. And the size of the market in India is going to quadruple in size over the next 20 years. Now, how fast can this take place? And we all know there are many, many challenges. I think not least of which is the transmission grid, the challenges with curtailment, challenges with battery storage, getting enough system stability and reliability. These are huge challenges that we see today. Governments, companies, and many other actors are looking for solutions. And it's fair to say that no country in the world has solved the challenge that we are facing of having 100% renewables power industry and power supply. So there's a long way to go, but there's a huge amount of energy investment and technology change happening as we speak.
The organizer is the first time that Italy attend this important exhibition with an institutional pavilion and with more than 12 companies coming from Italy. This is an important message we want to share with our Indian partners and friends. We signed October 2021 in Rome on the occasion of G20 a strategic joint statement on energy transition between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Draghi. We reiterate the commitment of the two countries, two governments, on the occasion of the last summit between Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and Prime Minister Modi last March, and again on the occasion of G20 here in Delhi last September. If there is a sector that explains better than other the sense of the main message of G20, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, is precisely renewable energy, where we have to join efforts to save the planet, to ensure a sustainable future for our generations of young people and for our planet. And precisely in this spirit, and also considering the closer and closer partnership between Europe and India, Italy, Germany, and other European countries with India, now we want not only to increase trade and investment, and actually as Italy we have doubled the bilateral trade since 2020 to 22, reaching the historical number of 15 billion euro of bilateral trade. But we want also to share technology, to promote joint research, because renewable energy requires breakthrough in some of the fundamental sectors, like storage, like battery, like digitalization of electricity grid, like solar and wind generation. So we want to share expertise, know-how, research, technology between Italy, Europe and India. And I also to mention an important achievement in the last summit, in the last visit of European Commission President von der Leyen here in Delhi, when we launched the Council for Trade and Technology. Council for Trade and Technology is also between Europe and US and between Europe and India. Council on Trade and Technology means establishing fast track for investment in technology and research. We have to join efforts. In order to join efforts, we have to promote more investment from Italy, Europe to India, and more investment from Europe to India. Italy is here. Italy is here with our best companies like Enel, that has already an installed capacity of 1 gigawatt in solar and wind, with Maire Tecnimont Waste to Energy, with the Stellantis in mobility, in Snam for the transportation of hydrogen, in the gas pipeline. So many different projects we are promoting and carrying out here. But we would like to have also more investment from India to Italy, and already we have some Indian companies that have invested in Italy, for example, in digital meters manufacturing and other sectors. So I'm so happy to be here with you. Unfortunately, I cannot stay for all the ceremony because G20 continues with other delegation coming from Europe and from Italy. And I'm so happy that this year has been really the year of India, the year of Italy and India, because we celebrate the 75th anniversary of our diplomatic relation. Thank you so much and all the best for the success of the exhibition.
Welcome everyone. I think enough has been discussed, enough has been said about the sector. All on behalf of Informa Markets and on behalf of the event Renewable Energy Expo and the Battery Show, I would like to say that the progress, whether it's in life or it's in business, always comes when you take some initiatives. And you need to continue to press on those initiatives. And trust me, even the original momentum will not be sufficient unless you continue to refill the engines of your inspiration with the fuel of new ideas. This is what brings the Battery Show India as a launch edition this year. And may I now request my team to play a small video of the Battery Show Europe for everyone to fathom the kind of scale, size and the texture what the event has.
Definitely recommend people to come to the battery show. It's a very good opportunity, I think, to network and also to get the latest news from the industry.
Battery show is going fantastic. We're getting to see customers interested in our solutions in order that we can solve problems that are for next generation issues that are coming.
So far it's been extremely good. I mean, it's more than what I had expected. You've got good numbers of exhibitors, you have visitors, you have speakers, you have delegates. I think this show has been exceedingly overachieving the expectations of the market.
I would recommend to visit the battery show here in Stuttgart. Most of the battery manufacturers are here so that you can get in contact with them, see where the innovation leads and see what the trends are.
The battery show, so it's really awesome. We have many people already coming here, even though we just started. The industry is moving that fast, the solutions are coming that fast, the topics are growing, having very good discussions here.
Great, thank you very much. So as we say, the success is contagious. So let us start an epidemic of success today. Thank you very much, all our dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, all our exhibitors, my team members who have literally burnt the midnight oil, and all I can guarantee that the number of years me and my team have taken to make REI. So it's the 16th edition, and I can definitely commit on behalf of my team that we will take less than half the years to ensure that the battery show reaches the scale of REI. Thank you very much and enjoy and have a wonderful 3 days. Thank you very much.
Shri N. Janaya, Vice Chairman and MD, Telangana Renewable Energy Development Company, Mr. Alex Whitworth, Vice President and Head Asia Pacific, Mr. Chris Siv, Vice President Infomedia, Mr. Yogesh Mudra, MD Infomedia, Mr. Rajneesh Khatta, Senior Group Director Energy Portfolio Infomedia, distinguished delegates, speakers, exhibitors and friends. It's an honor and a privilege to be speaking to this distinguished audience on this 16th edition of RE India Expo. Thrust for this year's conference and expo is green hydrogen, energy storage and e-mobility. We all know that Honorable Prime Minister has announced achieving a net zero by 2070 and a second target of achieving non-fossil fuel capacity of 500 gigawatt 2030. Developed countries like US, EU, whose carbon emissions have already peaked, have set a target of net zero by 2050. China, whose fossil fuel emissions are likely to peak by 2030, has set a target of 2060. And India, whose emissions are likely to peak in 2035-40, has set a target in 2070. So it is basically in line with how your development is taking place. Very detailed studies have been carried out which give us the window of emissions available to us to restrict global temperature rise to 2 degrees centigrade and the destructive effect that the world will face if we move from 2 to 3 degrees Celsius. Just to give you an example, if the temperature rise goes from 2 degree to 3 degrees Celsius, the average sea level, instead of rising at 0.58 meters, will rise by 8.5 meters. And you can imagine the huge amount of destruction that it will bring. Also, to give you an idea on how much economically we are going to suffer, it will be GDP, global GDP loss will be in the range of 25%. It will be much worse than what we had faced in COVID. So today, the global emissions are at 43 billion tons. On an average, the figures might be plus minus something. We have a window of 1 trillion tons of emissions. So that gives us 25 years, roughly. And that is how the target for 25 years, 2050 has been set by the emitters. US has set a target, and India, of course, whose emission, we are the third largest emitter, but our emissions are much less. I mean, per capita also and total emissions also. So I'll just share one more data with you. And that is the per capita energy usage, which is for US, it is in kilowatt hours, it is 80,000 kilowatt hours. For Europe, Russia, it is around 40 to 50 kilowatt hours. For China, it is 25,000. For India, it is 6,000 kilowatt hours. Now, as Mr. Alex also has pointed out, almost 80 to 90% of this comes from fossil fuels. The total share of electricity on an average is around 15%. Now, there are two things that the world needs to do. One is we should aim for a transition of 2% of our total energy to non-fossil fuel. So that will take us another 40 years to reach there. And maybe increase our contribution in electricity generation, increase by 2%. Now this 2%, 80% of it can come from renewable energy sources, and that is the broadly way forward that we can see for moving to a more sustainable future. Now if you look at the investment that Mr. Alex had also spoken about the investment. 4 years back, there was a huge difference in what investment was required in non-fossil fuel or sustainable energy and what it is. But today we are very near to it. I mean, he had shown a figure of $3.3 trillion for the total energy. I mean, today, this year, the total investment in energy will be around $2.8 trillion.
Markets to discuss some of the most critical aspects of our energy landscape: green hydrogen, energy storage, e-mobility, and solar. These topics represent not only the future energy but also the key to achieving sustainable, clean energy future both nationally and internationally. Before I delve into these aspects, let me extend my warmest welcome to all the distinguished delegates, both from within our great nation and across the borders. Your presence here underscores the global significance of the discussions we are about to engage in. Let us begin with the green hydrogen. As we all know, hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, but the challenge has always been how to produce it successfully and sustainably. Green hydrogen produced through the renewable energy sources like wind, solar, and other power resources offers a transformative solution. It not only promises to decarbonize the industries, but also holds the potential to store and transport clean energy efficiently. The applications of the green hydrogen are diverse, ranging from fuel cells for the transportation to the industrial processes. India has set ambitious goals in this regard, and I believe we are on the cusp of hydrogen revolution. Energy storage is the linchpin of our renewable energy future. The intermittent nature of the renewable energy sources like solar and wind demands efficient energy storage solutions. The advancement in battery technologies is astounding, and we are witnessing the emergence of grid-scale energy storage systems that can stabilize our grid and provide reliable power even when the sun is not shining or the wind is not blowing. As we continue our journey towards a renewable energy-driven world, energy storage will be the backbone that ensures the security and grid stability. Electric mobility is no longer a concept of distinct feature, and it is here and there now. Electrification of transportation is not only about the reducing of emissions but also transforming how we move people and goods. Electric vehicles are becoming increasingly accessible and cost effective, and governments are incentivizing their adoption. And embracing the e-mobility not only reduces our carbon footprint but also enhances energy efficiency, reduces air pollution and promotes the innovation in transportation. Solar power remains the commensurate of the renewable energy revolution. India has made a remarkable strides in harnessing the power of the sun, making it one of the world's largest solar energy producers. Our vast potential in solar energy generation must continue to be harnessed both through the large-scale projects and the decentralized solar installations. Solar power brings not only the economic benefits but also the environmental sustainability. In conclusion, the topics we have touched upon today, the green hydrogen, energy storage, e-mobility and solar energy represent the building blocks of a clean and sustainable energy future. They are not isolated solutions but interconnected facets of a comprehensive strategy to combat climate change, reduces emissions and driven through the economic growth. As we continue our discussions and explore the latest innovations and collaborations at this expo, I urge each one of us to remember our collective responsibility to the future generations. It is our duty to leave behind a planet that is only the habitable but thriving. The decision we make today will shape the world of tomorrow. Let us work together as a global community to usher an era of sustainable energy, cleaner air and a brighter future for all. The future is renewable and together we can make it a reality. Thank you one and all for giving me an opportunity, especially in Informa Market at this expo.